All right, we are live. Thank you so much for being with us as we wrap up the Berlin chapter of Cthulhu and Cairo episodes. Was it 22 and 24? Is that right?
Yeah.
We're skipping 23 because it was a kind of like a Q&A session that they had, right?
Mm-hmm.
Go listen to it though, folks.
It is really great.
It is.
So, yeah, I mean we're pretty much sticking to the theme of the actual adventure. So yeah, we are wrapping up the Berlin chapter with it. I loved this chapter for two main aspects, and they are both the same thing. There's two very Call of Cthulhu elements that happen in this chapter that really usually gets glossed over in a game, especially in like a one shot. One was the library research. That was a really well role played out session of a library research role, and how to get out of a library research role when you need to do a library research role. and then two was a bout of madness. A really profound bout of madness was done very well in this episode. So again, very two classic Call of Cthulhu elements brought in episode 22 anyhow. That I loved listening to because so many times like I'm running one shots and I'm like, okay, did you make your library use roll? Yeah, okay, you find this and you hand them the handout and there we go. Because you're under the gun. These people, they can take their time and they can actually play out situation. What I loved about it was like, most people don't realize it. Even if you don't make your library use roll, it doesn't mean you did not get the clue. You're in a library. You can ask others. You can hire a student. You can find a professor, somebody that knows something about it. And if you can't, if that library roll doesn't make it, you can use your charm or money. To get the answer that you need. It's not just always down to one role. I love that aspect of it, watching that getting played out. Very well done between the keeper and Faye.
Yeah,
Faye. I keep getting Faye and the other confused all the time. I'm sorry. I think they sound similar to me, but yeah, I can never. I'm horrible with names anyway. But doubly so when I'm listening to people. Very well done. A scenario right there. Where it's just like some research being done in the library. Some vital and not so vital clues were uncovered in it. The talk about the I guess the illegitimate son of Ramses III and how he was buried unmummified.
Was it Push?
PER something. Yeah, Purser.
Something.
Definitely a P word. It's
to be buried unmummified.
Yeah, that's might as well just bury him upside down, right? So but
take him off a sanctified land or something. It's
exactly.
It's the same thing.
Kick him off a cliff. We're just as good. Exactly. Amanda, you're getting ready to say something, so go ahead. Go ahead.
I've been trying to make like notes, and one of the notes that I made was I'm trying to figure out how many more times they're just gonna let Faye like go off by herself. Like lesson unlearned the first time they let Faye go off by herself.
Dude,
she left a note.
I made a meme about Faye being left alone and going to doing something, and I'm like,
she did. Yes, she did. And she mentions to Aveline in the next episode that we're reviewing how Aveline left her alone. She's feeble. She's, basically she can't walk a lot without, having to stop for breaths. But she went off on her own.
Again,
the moon was full and I was left unsupervised. It was one of those.
Exactly. There's no adulting rule.
And they come back to that in episode 25.
Yeah. Oh yeah. They riddle it for it.
You're never going off on your own again. Yeah.
Yeah. Then don't leave me alone. How about that? Yeah. How about don't put shit in my drink? How about that? It's the thing with those Grigolettis, man. I'm telling you, they're ruthless. You're like, whenever you see them at a party, just Whenever you see them at a
Palm
party,
your drink.
just
Palm your drink.
This. Just do this the entire time. That's all I'm telling you. Yeah, I'm sorry, I got my camera going everywhere, but don't definitely cover the drink when you went around the Google-A's. You never know what you're going to wake up with, man. They're horrible. But
I felt really bad for Faye because when Catherine was talking to the innkeeper, Raz was just like really mean about Faye's personal appearance. He was just like, "Oh,
she's fucked up, man. Yeah, she looks rough.
She looks horrible."
Your parents, Bruno.
What's your parents? 60? Oh, it's not that now. I love that part. 60s, 60s like a 6. Yeah, it's like a decent 6. But he's like, it's more like 4. It's like a rough 4.
And she rolled accordingly, which I thought was awesome.
Exactly.
I feel so bad because by the time we get to episode 25, Faye gets more crap that has nothing to do. She's healed from having been beaten and stuff, but man, Faye just keeps getting knocked and knocked.
She's the bad luck omen. I don't know what it is, but something. But
sorry for the girl.
Yeah, she just falls into stuff. But I'm sorry. I really still feel like that Bruno has the bullseyes on Kay.
On Catherine? Yeah.
Catherine. Yeah, Catherine's character. Because it's like, oh, did you fall asleep? Okay, here's what happens. Nightmare episode.
I thought her portrayal of that was so well done. She did such a good job. Like I literally could feel her angst and her
no.
fear.
No, you're not leaving. No, don't open the door. No,
right.
No.
Right. Like, she's like, nobody's getting off here. What it was her anxiety and fear was palpable in that character portrayal. It was so well done. Like such a nod to how well these characters play their roles. Like just so well done. And I feel like it was, akin to Sid taking the shot. Like it's just so well done. Like she knew how her character would react. Like she failed her sanity roll and she was like, well, that's how I feel. So
and again, it really plays in their backstories, which just can't stress it enough. If you aren't on the Patreon and have access to their backstories, you definitely should, because it definitely helps you. Even though you can do it pretty well, listening to the podcast, it really helps you set yourself in the mind of each of the characters and what you expect their reactions to be coming up, in each scenario, based on their backgrounds and their individual scenarios that they have on the Patreon. Well worth it. The few bucks you're gonna give to them to get access to that material. Absolutely. But I mean, it's almost like a Nightmare on Elm Street kind of thing, where like she does not have control of the situation. She's trying to exert control of the situation, but we're on a completely different narrative than what you want. Exactly. It's just so good.
And Catherine's one of those characters I feel like she needs to have control. So every
all the time.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I know I hope it's building to something really big when we find out what is going on. I hope, because narratively speaking, I don't want it to be a little fizzle. That would just be a letdown. At the same time, I'm going to go, what the holy ever loving.
Yeah. Catherine strikes me as one of those characters like, oh, you're dressed, we're ready to go out. Oh, you're not going to button that top button. You're really not going to button that top button before we go out. You're just going to leave it unbuttoned. Really? Okay. Really? No. We're not leaving till you fucking button the button. That's exactly how.
Well, she military folds her clothes. She said that.
Exactly.
And she describes herself as the mother, the mother hen of the group. So she's, she's very control oriented.
Yeah. But I mean, this whole Bout of Madness was very well role played out, because playing Bouts of Madness in Call of Cthulhu, and again, I'm referring to most of the times when I get to run it is in a one shot, like at a convention or something like that. It's usually very quick. Usually what I do in a scenario, in a one shot, like at a con, I will hand one of the Bouts of Madness cards randomly to the person and say, "Play it." I don't even want to see it. I want to see how you role play it in the situation.
I'm stealing that.
Yeah, it's really well done. You know the keepers deck that you can get. The
Mhm.
keepers deck.
I
Yeah,
have it.
pull out all the Bout of Madness ones, the real time Bout of Madness ones. It's like 10 or so of them. You know, keep them, you know, behind the screen and don't even look at it. Just hand it to them. Say, I don't, you know, play it. Yeah, you know.
Quick keeper tip, folks. It's
Exactly.
a good one.
Exactly. But then, you know, to be able to actually have that full on interaction, and it paid in that this was, you know, like a solo adventure for both of them, and then for Sid and the others as well. It was basically like a solo adventure, you know, to be able to really focus on them and say, okay, this is happening, this is happening, this is happening. And what are you going to do? And you don't have to worry about what the other players are trying to interfere in, you know, and get it on. No. This is you and me. What are we doing? You know, it's almost like a choose your own adventure kind of book.
Yeah.
You had to pay 73. That was bad choice.
I really like that about this podcast.
Yeah.
Even when they're all there, they all quite often get a little bit of a chance to shine. But they don't shy away from doing, because you know Catherine was sitting there, because at one point he references that she's laughing. So she was listening in on the bit with Faye, but it was just Bruno and Faye in the recording, and then it's just Bruno and Catherine in the recording, and
yeah,
you know, Bruno and it really lets the listener, you know, feel it more.
I mean, that is the intensity, and it's why Call of Cthulhu really works well with lower numbers. With, you know, with D&D and other games, you want 5-6 players at the table to cover all those different classes. If you got 2 players in a Call of Cthulhu game, you're fine. If you got 1 player in a Call of Cthulhu game and you can both play off each other well, you're fine. You know, the intimacy and brings on that dread and heightens up the tension even more so, because you're on your own. It's just you guys. You know, it really
it allows you to cater more to building that.
Oh yeah, the first key to any horror, presenting any horror situation is isolation. You know, got to isolate.
Yeah. And I know we run tables of 6 when we do our convention gaming.
Yeah.
But there are times where I'm happy if if player 2 doesn't show up, because it just made the experience that much better. Now, don't hesitate to come to my table, because I want you there. But
absolutely. Yeah, I always tell the players too, like if for some reason I've only got 3 or 4 players, I'll let them know ahead of time, okay, this game's going to be shorter because I have less people throwing options in. But it's going to be better because it's going to be more focused on you 3 or 4. You know, so yeah, it always turns out, seems to be a little better. You know, you don't want to set the mark for 3 or 4. You want to have 5 or 6 to be inclusive. But the 3-4 player games do seem to be a little notch above as far as actual role play aspect. Absolutely. So that's why, you know, this number is a really good number. Like, you know, Mueller's talking about 5 or 6. It's like, is it really 6? You know? But
well, he mentions that they have like a character that has 2 souls.
Yeah.
I was curious to see who you all might like think that is.
Oh, it's Angelina's the reflection, obviously. I think.
Oh, okay.
I feel it is. I mean, I may be completely wrong, but I believe that Angeline kind of flips, almost like Moon Knight, just kind of flips and goes in as a reflection, and she's not really, you know,
Aveline.
Aveline. Sorry.
I think it's going to be Catherine because of the weird moments she has when she falls asleep on public transportation.
Well, he says one of them is cursed. I thought the curse would be Catherine.
Because I'm thinking Faye, just because of the interactions with the ghouls and with Frederick.
Yeah.
Heinrich.
Yeah, Mr. Mueller.
I think Heinrich might have piggybacked.
Might have. But yeah, that's a really good idea. And I love how he keeps dropping
That's
that A.
interesting.
Like all he's got to do is say AWAS, and she just starts flipping out.
And
I like
this
when he
is
did.
based
I
on
like when he did
historical
it to
stuff.
chuckle. The AWAS.
She's like, exactly.
I'm like, well, no, I have looked up who AWAS is the entity that.
They even
Crowley
talked about it in
named.
25. Yeah.
But you can't find any other historical references to an
Yeah.
AWAS.
I mean,
There
they were
aren't
talking
any.
a little bit about sleep. I want it to be like, something random, like, gumdrop. That's what I want it to be. That's just the asshole of me. I just want it to be, it's Egyptian for gumdrop. Something like that.
That would be funny.
It would be, right? She's like, I've been scared of gumdrops this entire time.
Want some AWAS?
Some AWAS, exactly. The sugar coated. Don't eat the black ones; they're crap. But black licorice, man, I cannot stand the taste of black licorice. But anyway,
Well,
I digress.
bring me in with black jelly beans. We're good.
Okay, that's fine. There you go. It's a flavor
Problem
thing.
sorted.
There you go.
Episode 20. Well, episode 23 was his Q&A, which is totally worth listening to because
Yeah.
it's fascinating. He gives his process for how he started developing the idea too. 22 was like everybody gets caught up with everybody else. And we see Faye actually get really pissed off at Aveline.
24.
That's 24. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's 24.
When they
Oh,
all
yeah,
finally meet at
24.
the country
Sorry.
house. And I
That's
love
20
how I loved how they played that off at the beginning too, with like the house lady, the landlady or whatever it is. It's like, in the city, they don't care, how you all are jumbled up together in hotel rooms. In the country, it's like, oh, you're not going upstairs with him. Are you married? Yeah, okay. No, I mean, they don't even care. It's like you're not going upstairs to that gentleman until you're married, or something like that. In the country, I don't care. I don't care if you're cousins as long as you're married.
It's a country.
It's a country thing. Yeah, but
I love how we have established that John is a cross-dresser now.
They're the cross-dressing couple.
Why not? Why not? Just keep it going.
Brilliant.
Exactly.
About
Exactly. It's good for airflow. You wear the dress. It's good for airflow. Less chafing.
And I didn't realize it towards the beginning of episode 25. He actually references it again.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And he keeps coming up with these awesome pet names.
Yes, the pet names are a hoot.
They are great. But
And
yeah,
dinner sounded
They
delicious.
play off of each other so well. It's absurd.
they do. Well, it's like you can literally see them all sitting together or standing together, like pointing at each other when they're when they're catching each other. And you bastard.
I know at one point, like Raz mentions, like, it's during COVID and they act like they're playing at a table, but they're not. They're playing across, electronics and stuff like that. But they really do sound and act like they're playing at a table together. Like they play off of each other so well and build that dynamic with each other so well that it really does feel like they are sitting at a table and playing together. And I think that's an incredible thing that they've managed to create, is that that group dynamic.
Yeah.
You can tell that they've known each other for a very long time. Heck, the guys have probably watched the girls grow up.
Yeah. Watch like.
Well, they have Joel is
Yeah.
Kayla's godfather. Kayla, is it Kayla?
And he's played with Bruno since high
Yeah,
school.
yeah.
So
Mm-hmm.
full on Hellfire Club going on there. Absolutely.
And,
But,
and it shows.
Exactly.
They have that.
The instant connection. Yeah.
Although you sometimes get that at a table
Yeah.
after a little bit, but
Yeah. That first hour is always kind of hard, but after you get to feel for each other,
Mm-hmm.
it that wall breaks down pretty quickly because you got to get the game going. Exactly.
and I think there was some of that hesitancy or awkwardness in the very first episode at the beginning, but that could be just they were all settling in too.
Into the characters too. They're still
Yeah.
trying to get a feel for who they are and what and the environment they're in.
Right.
what
I
might
think the environment is really like you're trying to start piecing the puzzle together. And those first few pieces are so hard to find. You're just searching anywhere that you can think of to find the pieces of the puzzle that you need to start putting together. So I always find the very beginning like super awkward.
Well, I mean, and that's the thing with like being in certain time periods, like the Call of Cthulhu. If I tell somebody that we're playing 1890s, Victorian London, fine. I've watched enough Sherlock Holmes. I can dope this out. If I tell somebody 1920s, U.S., some people have a hard time with that because unless they're into like gangster shows or really up under Great Gatsby, they have a hard time grasping what was going on in the 20s. Same thing with the 30s when in this scenario, Cthulhu and Cairo, the 30s in Germany. Everybody automatically starts thinking, and everybody's goose stepping around. No. Only a few.
It was wild.
It was buck wild. It was absolutely buck wild. I always tell everybody, watch Cabaret, and then we can play 1930s Wild Republic.
A character that's old enough that in the 1920s that they were a vet of the Great War. That affects the character too. I learned we were playing Adventure Tales of the Aeon Society, and my character was a doctor in the war, and so I plunged into the history after a bit. I was like, I've got to learn more to play this.
Yeah.
And I think they do a really good job with the ones who are vets of the Great War.
He does a good job also talking about how broke everybody is, especially in Germany and in the Weimar Republic, because again, they're coming off the heels of the First World War, and
England
people
was kind of bad too. Still,
England was in bad shape, but they still had the U.S. to ally them. It wasn't like Germany where you're taking a wheelbarrow full of money to go buy a loaf of bread. That's how devalued the Deutschmark was at that time.
That's one of the things I love about non-fantasy RPGs is if they're done well, you get a sense of those historical time periods. You don't have to, and you can still enjoy it however you want. But if you really take the plunge into it, it's kind of cool.
Yeah.
I will say I probably learned more from this podcast than I learned in my U.S. Histories class in high school.
Thanks to schooling. Thanks to schooling.
Right?
schooling.
Even like I enjoy hearing the girls because you can tell they're younger. Like, that they're, young.
Just not as knowledgeable about it.
Right, exactly. But you can tell the guys, like, they know the history. They know the history. And I have learned so much listening to this podcast. It's incredible.
Nobody's being an asshole about it. Like,
right,
you don't
absolutely.
know.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's great. It's like, hey, this is what it was. Exactly.
And that's the other thing.
I love that Catherine is like, as a millennial that doesn't necessarily know this, what are my options here? She embraces the fact that as a player, she doesn't have that knowledge. So, help me. What would my character do? I think it's just really, really awesome.
Yeah.
There are a couple times in these episodes where Raz even mentions he doesn't know about something like the card
catalog.
Raz, if you're listening, I do think the card catalog existed in the 1920s.
Pretty sure it did.
But he admits he didn't know. Good for him.
Yeah, it's fine.
And then they just roll with it.
Is it super important? No. Exactly.
There still would have been a way of cataloging the books.
And they would have, even by alphabetical order or something, they would have done something like that. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, a lot of libraries did that too, even in the 20s. That wasn't happening. Like the Dewey Decimal System wasn't happening. Each library organized it by whatever the librarian saw fit. So you really need that library. Exactly. Any other thoughts on these two scenarios? These two sessions?
I'm excited. Oh, those two sessions? No, not so much.
Excited for Italy?
I am less excited for Italy. I mean, I'm excited to like hear it, but I don't think it's going to be a great place for Catherine.
No.
I don't think it's going to be. I think it's going to be hard. I'm nervous for her character in Italy. You know,
Yeah.
seeing Matthew, and you know, clearly we know something's going on there.
Yeah.
You know, like they've dropped enough hints that you know there's something sinister going on there. So I
Yeah.
think that I'm very nervous for her character. She is the one that I'm the most concerned about going in to Italy, which
Yeah.
you know,
And Faye already gets the shock of a lifetime. That's
Yeah.
not even mythos related, folks.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's more Jerry Springer.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm
Not
gonna
the
put
father.
my earmuffs on. That one.
Yeah, but it's good stuff. It's really good stuff. But, you know, a lot of cool stuff's happening. I just want one of them to say sometime in there, Venice. But you know, that's just me. That's just Indiana Jones in me. But you know, I just want somebody to jump up, Venice.
I'm already nervous having to traverse the city and, you know, the gondolas and stuff. So
Exactly. All right.
Oh.
Well, we are going to wrap up this session. Thank you guys so much for listening, and for you guys for sharing with us. Again, we got Amanda and Melinda and Matt, and yeah, we love this. We love this series. That's why we love talking about it, and we're glad
So
you're here
good.
to join with us to kind of condense it and give it the review of the episodes, and carry on with us as we continue to follow the adventurers in Cthulhu Cairo. Thank you so much.
I'm eager to see what's next. Go listen.